The Raulerson House is an excellent example of early Polk County affluent rural living. It was built in the late 1880s by Mr. and Mrs. Oscar Blocker. The house was later purchased in 1901 by Daniel Amos Raulerson. He was a local prospector and developer of phosphate mines. The phosphate industry was booming during this time in Central Florida, and Homeland was surrounded by phosphate deposits. After the discovery of phosphate in the Peace River Valley in the 1880s, the Homeland Pebble Phosphate Company was created in 1891. Some other primary phosphate mining communities in Central Florida include Bone Valley, Bradley, Brewster, Christina, Coronet, Kingsford, Mulberry, Nichols, Pierce, Ridgewood, and Sand Gully. Phosphate mining was first attempted in Florida in 1883 by Dr. Simmons. This attempt was short-lived, and the Florida phosphate boom did not start until 1889. Albertus Vogt discovered high-grade phosphate hard rock near the town of Dunellen in Marion County. Mr. Vogt noticed fossils near a spring that reminded him of similar ones near a phosphate deposit in South Carolina. Vogt and a few other locals started to purchase land in the area, and phosphate mining began in 1889 by the Marion Phosphate Company. The phosphate boom brought wealth to the area, with land that had been selling for $1.25 to $5 an acre, selling as high as $300 an acre. In 1895, there were 400 mining companies. At the time, these companies were mostly small, and mining was done by hand. Most of these were later consolidated and sold to larger companies. The number of companies dropped to 81 in 1900 and 30 in 1911. 17 of those 30 were in Central Florida. The Raulerson House was owned by descendants of Daniel Amos until Lakeland I-4 Properties purchased the property in 1987 and moved it to make room for an industrial park. Lillian Raulerson Jones, a daughter of Daniel Amos Raulerson, asked that it be preserved if possible. When it was moved from the Polk-Hillsborough County line west of Lakeland in 1987, the chimney was torn down. J.D. Raulerson Jr., grandson of Daniel Amos, donated money to have the chimney replaced at the park and painted white, as it had been on the original site. There are 2 rooms on the second floor that can only be entered through the stairwell on the front porch. Such rooms were added to southern rural houses to be used by farm laborers or grown sons of the family. The stairwell on the front porch allowed them to come and go without disturbing the rest of the inhabitants. The Raulerson House was the 3rd building to be moved to Homeland Heritage Park. It arrived on March 25, 1988, as a gift from the Lakeland realtor David Bunch and Lakeland I-4 Properties.